Hello, my name is Franchelle Myers. Welcome back to another episode of Mystic Sparks. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're an old subscriber, welcome back. Today's episode is going to be a little different. It's going to be about a reflection of mine. So I decided to fast today, and it started around 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so this will be a fasting reflection. So let's start with day one. Well, each day it's going to be a 3-day fast. So I'm going to come to you for 3 days, sharing what I experienced, what I reflected on, and what I did in the day. So let's get started. How did I feel physically? So the beginning of the day, I felt very focused and very called to what I was doing. I was working on this project all day that I currently finished actually, and let's say I was very focused on what I was doing, and I got it done. Everything got done completely, and now I just need to print it. And it's shared on my social media, so I'll be putting it in my description below, and so you can see what my project is. And then later towards 5 p.m. is around the time when I finished my fast. I felt very tired. I felt very sleepy. I had this very big headache, and I still currently do have the headache. And as I was sleeping, I couldn't really sleep. I couldn't really sleep, but I did find a way to sleep. Next question. What was on my mind? I would say food. Food was really on my mind. I remember after I finished my project, I went outside to get some air, and I was walking, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. Because I was hungry. And I'm just trying to remind myself that I'm fasting, because when I tell myself I'm hungry, I forget that I'm fasting. But all day I kept reminding myself that I'm fasting. And that's what reminds me the most. It keeps me focused a lot to remind myself of what I'm doing. I was also having thoughts of old sin trying to resurface. What I mean by that is, like, I have a lot of battles with lust, and my mind likes to think of sexual things a lot, and so I'm trying to renew my mind. This is kind of why I'm fasting, trying to renew my mind and focus on new things so I can better myself and grow in this new season. So let's start with the next question. Did anything shift? Well, like I said, I've been working on this project, so I felt very called and close to my dream of mine. I was working on my future magazine, which was my project I was working on. And I felt at peace with myself today after going for a walk and sitting in the grass. So I'm listening to the birds, I'm listening to everything around me, the wind blowing, and everything just felt so peaceful. And that's how majority of my days are. I like to sit in the grass and just sit there and reflect on the day that I'm having. And it feels very calming, very peaceful, and it's very connected to who I am. Next question is, what did I discover in the silence? So I was watching this video about how we talk too much and how we like to share everything before it begins. So like the project that I'm having, even though I'm sharing it with you now, I've already finished the project. So it's different from sharing it at the end and sharing it at the beginning. So I didn't share that I was working on the magazine with anybody, and it's been completed. So there are times when we share it to friends, and they what's the word? They like to bring us down. Like to belittle us and say we don't deserve this dream, or this dream isn't gonna happen. And my mother likes to do that sometimes, and it gets me in a feeling that I'm gonna disappoint myself or this or that. And I have to remind myself that just because she's saying this doesn't mean it's true. It's not a fact, it's just her opinion. So whatever someone's saying, your dream that they think is not gonna happen, or you don't deserve it to happen, don't listen to them, because you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know the plans that God has for you, plans that prosper you, and I'm hoping that my plans will be established, because I've been working on these for the past few days. And then the last question, what would I like to carry forward from this experience? So I would say to keep my mouth shut. Don't share everything first. be humble and know that I only water in someone else's plants, but God increases growth. So what I mean by that is when I was reading from 1 Corinthians, I learned that Paul, he was saying how he's the one who plants the seeds. Someone else can water the seed, but only God increases the growth. And that's how I am with this podcast, where I might plant a seed in your mind or in your heart, but you can only water that seed, but God increases the growth. And I always, that's me reminding me of my place in this world. And it also reminds me to be humble. So those are a few things that I would like to carry from this experience. This was day 1. Thank you for watching. God loves you, and so do I. Hello, my name is Ventura Myers. Welcome back to another episode of Mystic Sparks. Today is day 2 of fasting reflection. So let's get started. How did I feel physically? So I want to explain a little bit before I even go into what this question is, my answer. Before I go into my answer, I just want to say that today was a little different. I wasn't at home, so it's easier for me to not feed my flesh when I'm at home because there's not much to eat at home. But when I'm out, like which I was out, I had access to food. And so my younger brother got his wisdom tooth took out, and I had the chance to get food from Chick-fil-A, and I took that chance. It was like 9 something in the morning, and I was hungry and I was stressed out, and so I took the chance to eat. The environment I was in made it easier to break the fast, basically, and I gave in. But this was a test of my willpower, and I failed. But that's okay, because I still have another day to conquer it. Next question. What was going on inside my mind and heart? So I felt emotionally stressed out. I was helping with my mom because she asked me to come along with them for my brother. But I was thinking, like, because I remember when I got my tooth pulled out and he was there for me, and I know it was stressful because we had to watch over them, make sure they did this, make sure they did that. And for me personally, while I had my wisdom tooth took out, I'm thinking like, okay, I have to do this and I have to do that at a certain time. But my brother, he doesn't think about these sorts of things. He just does it. And it makes it much harder for him to comprehend sort of some things. And so I have to be there, the one to be, not just be his older sister, but be a mom to him sometimes as well. And I have to remind him that you got to do this, you got to do that. And he tends to push back at that. He tends to get angry. So there are times when I'm trying to help, but he doesn't want the help. And sometimes that's okay, you know. Sometimes he just knows to do it himself. But other times he doesn't, and I have to help him with it. And so it gets me stressed out because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be a mom to him. I just want to be his older sister and trying to help him. But there are times when he doesn't want your help, and that can be frustrating. So I looked for comfort. I realized I was trying to fill a spiritual space with a physical fix. So after I got Chick-fil-A, it was around 12. By the time we got home, I had an ice cream sandwich, and that's where I was looking for comfort at. And yeah, so I don't know why I ate the ice cream. It did make my stomach hurt afterwards, and I do regret it, but I don't regret the Chick-fil-A. So next question. What did breaking the fast teach me? So I satisfy my flesh more than I thought. I don't always say no when I should. Now, there were times when I have said no to fast food, and I told myself, especially when I'm fasting. Today was a little different because my mind wasn't focused on fasting. It was focusing on my younger brother and hoping that he would be okay. So I was, like I said, I was stressed out. I wasn't thinking about fasting. Before, when we were in the office, I prayed and I asked God to give me strength and endurance to keep fighting. But I guess I forgot about the prayer because it completely fell out of my mind. And that's kind of what the devil does, and kind of what we do when we don't let that thought stay in our mind, and we just let it go by. We just go by in life, and we forget about these things. So fasting is supposed to crave and to comfort myself through food. And now I can work on shifting that. I can work on saying no more than I say yes to my flesh. And I was watching this video and it was telling me how I satisfy my flesh and I don't feed my spirit. And that's kind of why I'm fasting, so I can deny my flesh and feed my spirit. But today was just one of those days where I fell. But that's okay because I'm not quitting. So that's what this next question says. What will I do differently going forward? I won't quit, which I'm not quitting, but I'm trying again, even if I fall. One thing I do need to do is to keep remind myself that I'm fasting. I tend to do this a lot when I'm fasting because I tend to forget. I don't want to blame it on just my lack of memory, because I do remember majority of the times, but today just wasn't those days. I wasn't worrying about it. It wasn't on my mind, and that's where I fell. So reminding myself that I'm fasting is like the top thing I need to do, because I tend to forget a lot of things. I'm fasting not just from food, but from things that steal my focus and my peace. Next time I'll plan ahead. And normally I do when I know that I'm going somewhere, and I actually did plan ahead. I had my money with me, so it seems like I planned that I wanted something to eat. So that's where the problem led me, because I didn't need to bring money. I knew I was going to get something to eat because I brought my money. So if I hadn't brought my money, then I wouldn't have gotten nothing to eat. So I planned ahead. I definitely planned ahead, just not the right plan. So I also speak reminders over myself and stay anchored in my reason why I started this fast. So I started this fast really because I wanted to deny my flesh and feed my spirit. This is a new season, and so I want to grow in this season, grow in this new person I'm trying to be this year, this season, this new month. And I want to renew my mind, and that's kind of why I started this fast. But I tend to eat in the fast more than I actually do the fast. But like I said, I'm not quitting. I'll be fasting for 14 hours. So I'm glad that I am fasting and hoping that because I am learning things in this fast, and that's the important part. That's where I'll lead you off with. God loves you, and so do I. Hello, my name is Frontier Myers. Welcome back to another episode of the 6 parts. Today is going to be part 3, day 3 of my fasting reflection. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. What happened today? Today was a slower day. It wasn't empty, but it wasn't empty. I wrote a letter to God, pouring out my heart to Him in stillness. And I also took a nap, a very long nap. I gave my body the rest it needed. Today was a soft day, less action, more pressure. So I just wanted to be still and know that He was God. How did I feel? I felt pretty peaceful today. Not overly excited, not down, just present. There was no pressure to do a lot today. So like I said, I wasn't very productive today. I didn't really do much other than write a letter to God. I sat down and meditated for a couple of minutes. I listened to music, and I took a nap, I watched this movie, Sinners. Oh gosh, it scared me so bad. This is my second time watching it, but it is just so good, and I recommend you watch it, but it just scared me. Yeah. Just a quiet awareness that God was with me even in the simplest moments. So what did the letter to God reveal? It helped me release some emotions and reconnect spiritually. It was my way of saying, God, I'm still here and I'm still listening. Writing felt like I was grounding myself again in this fast. I was reaffirming my purpose without needing to prove anything. So in my letter, I wrote about how I felt very stressful with this, everything that's happening with my brother. Like I said yesterday, my day 2 reflection, he got his wisdom tooth removed, and it just sucks that I can't do nothing for him. And since he's not really doing the things that he should be doing, like having the gogs in his mouth, or like not going outside for periods of time, or eating soft food. He can't be chewing hard, solid food. So he can't use a straw, and these are sorts of things that he shouldn't be doing, but he is doing. And that kind of frustrates me because I'm like, I'm trying to help you out, but you're not helping yourself out. So it gets pretty frustrating, but what more can I do? And I tell myself I can't force him to do these things. He has to do it for himself, you know. So what did today teach me? It taught me 3 things. Reflection can happen in silence, not just in struggle. God doesn't need my performance, he desires my presence. And slowing down isn't falling behind. Sometimes it's catching up with my spirit. So today, like I said, it was more of a chill day. I didn't really do much today. Was in bed majority of the day today. I got up and went outside. I didn't go for a walk like I normally did, but I did go outside and just, but like I was saying, I went outside and I just breathed in the air. Everything felt so calm, everything felt so peaceful, and yeah, so I had a really good day today. And then here's the last question. What will I carry forward? More stillness, more moments of stillness. I want to practice more meditation because I haven't done meditation in a while. I know that I struggle with sitting still for long periods of times. So I want to practice more stillness and more meditation where I can just write, rest, or be. Fasting isn't just about denying. It's about receiving what I miss when I'm too busy. Today I received rest, quiet connection, and grace. God loves you, and so do I.